All right, so closing things off now. I wouldn't stay too long on both films because, admittedly, there's already much to talk about, which is both a good and bad thing, as you'll see soon enough. So we talk about Arctic and extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile. It was a pretty dope ass name, by the way, right? But first off with Arctic, right? This is a survival thriller film, more survival drama, kind of. Um, it's directed by Joe Penna, who, well, if you're in the know in terms of YouTube, well, I honestly didn't even know that till after the fact, right? So he is a Brazilian musician, filmmaker, and also he had a YouTube personality by the name of Mystery Guitar Man. I didn't
Right.
even know about this, but apparently, like, he's a big deal. But point is that he's a YouTuber basically, and he also made some short films, I believe, from 2010. And this film right here is actually his debut feature, and it was our official selection at last year's Cannes Film Festival. So like, it's like that, like for people like us, Ricardo, that's like a
Yes.
real big, inspiration right there, though. You know what I mean?
Right.
From humble beginnings, doing the whole, YouTube stuff, doing the short film stuff. Well, I know that's what
Yes.
you're into. I still had to get my feet wet with that. But started off strong though, and getting your film selected for something as big as the Cannes Film Festival. Like, holy shit. And but the big sell of this is the lead in this, Mads Mikkelsen, you know?
Right.
Big actor, one of the best European actors I would say in the game right now. And he would even go as far as saying that this film right here is actually like the toughest shoot he's ever been in. So
Right.
what it is about, and the premise is so incredibly simple, right? Which works. Um, so he is this dude, right? His name is Overgod. That's the name that's on his jacket basically, right? So he's just this Danish guy whose plane crashed, but we don't really see the plane crashing. We just see him kind of just trying to send a signal out for help. So he's just stranded in the Arctic for, well, we're not really sure how long he's there, right? Um, but yeah, we just seen the day-to-day life of him just trying to get trying to get the signal out, trying to get rescued and stuff like that. He is rather resourceful, he figures out ways to survive basically. He has this really cool technique where he catches a fish every day, there's these little simple mechanics that he uses, right? But one day, he tries to get he tries to get the attention of this helicopter. But unfortunately, when the helicopter goes closer to where he's at, there's like these heavy winds, and it kind of affects the trajectory of the helicopter. Helicopter ends up crashing basically, right? So he runs to the site, and the pilot is dead, but there's somebody else, well, who is at the passenger side, who's alive, a woman. And I wasn't sure if she was Thai, because there's a shot where you see her ID card and it's clearly written in Thai. But
Right.
actually looking at the IMDb page right now, she is both Icelandic and Thai, right? And yes, the
Okay.
film was shot in Iceland over the course of 19 days, and all the all the weather stuff that you see here, just the heavy winds and all that kind of stuff, that shit was real. So it's shot like entirely on location, not no sound stage, nothing like that. Everything that you see in this film here is real. And essentially it's Overgod trying to get this girl, well, who by the way is wounded, like seriously wounded, trying to get her to this particular area, sort of a mountainous area where hopefully he could just raise a signal again, and another chopper could come and just take them, just rescue them basically. And that is what the show is about, right? So right off the bat, as I was talking about, like, Iceland and stuff like that, the cinematography for this is breathtaking. It is so incredibly gorgeous, so icy and so cool, and you're like, it really does put you smack dab into this world here. Another thing what I like about this show here is that it's just essentially this bare bones survival story. It is it's, I wouldn't say devoid of dialogue. There's dialogue, but it's very, very, very sparse, right? And most of it is being delivered by Mads, who also delivers it in both English and Danish. I thought that was pretty cool as well. The girl herself, she doesn't really get to say much because she's just there. She's wounded. She might just whisper or groan or whatnot. I'll talk
Right.
about her in a bit, right? But essentially, it's about him just braving the elements, just trying to survive. And of course, it's not easy. He runs into one mishap after the next. So what I like here about the show is that unlike Hollywood films, which kind of want to stress on how deadly and how serious these conditions are, it's not like every single day something bad happens, but it's just like, all right, I'm gonna get to point A to point B. It's not gonna be easy at all. I have to drag this body basically. I have to take a rest every so often because I have to walk and all that kind of stuff. See, seeing how so basically like it's a realistic take on just the whole survival story. Basically, it's not not glorified. I want to say it's not like heightened to make it feel like some kind of Hollywood flick. It really does feel like this is how a person like would act or react or try to survive in these situations and in these conditions, right? But Mads Mikkelsen, though, I would say this is probably the best performance I've ever seen from him, and that's saying a lot.
Right.
I always find like every time that he's on screen, even in some like Doctor Strange, he always does his best. It's just as if the script will give him much to do, right? But in this case here, he literally has to put this film on his shoulders. 'Cause it is about him trying to survive. And, the script doesn't give him much to say, which is something that I really do appreciate. Uh,
Right.
it's all about his mannerisms, his body movements, his facial features, all that kind of stuff, and it works. When he says something, it's just like, well, usually it's some sort of like calm assurance to the girl that everything's going to be fine, or even he's telling himself that everything's going to be fine. Another thing that I really do like here, like I was making a comparison with 127 Hours, right, which starred James Franco.
Right.
Like remember that it was just him kind of vlogging and talking about, well, I'm here and let me just film everything with my camera and all that kind of stuff. So it's like that. It's not like that, right? Where the character is always monologuing and talking to himself. In this case, it's just him. He doesn't really say much. He's not that type of person, which I like. Although there were a few moments where I was like, all right, in this situation, you could react it, you could kind of shout and curse and talk loud to yourself and be like, how I gonna get out of this. But
Right.
that's not the approach here to this. It's not like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? That's not that type of film. It's all right, I'm in this situation, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna kinda bitch about it? Or am I gonna figure out a way out of it? That type of story, right? Um as far as gripes go, I did feel like the girl was just kind of like just there as this plot device just to add like conflict to the story. Like, okay, it could have just been him by himself trying to survive, but you needed a reason for him to get to that area, right? To try to get the signal out. So, all right, you have this girl who's injured. You have to get her to that spot because if she stays where she's at, she's gonna die. You could survive, but she can't because she physically can't do it by herself, right? But
Right.
like, there really isn't much to her character except she's lying down. She's kind of passes out every so often. She's usually sleepy. You're not too sure if she's dying or if she's just weak. They didn't really establish that much. Like there's certain moments I would say where I was like, all right, is she dying? Is she bleeding out? You're not too sure. Like, they never really specify how long these characters are together. So you kind of wondered, okay, after 2, 3 days, you would be kind of back to normal, kind of. You can't say, a sentence at least. You know what I mean? You're gonna be this way all through. Is it the cold? What is it? You're not too sure. You know what I mean? So I felt that was like one of the major gripes in the show. Also, as far as the plot goes, because it's so straightforward and bare bones, you kind of wish that there was a moment or two where they could develop Matt's character a little bit more instead of just, I'm a guy stuck here and you don't need to know anything beyond that. Also, there were a few shots that are, yeah, while it is a very well made film, very well polished film, I would say this is one that you should see on the big screen. Or if you can't see on the big screen like me, you could see it on your monitor. Just make sure it's like a wide one. It does work. It does deserve to be viewed there, and not on a laptop screen or God forbid on your phone, right, on the smartphone. But I would admit there were some shots that felt a little on the repetitive side of things. You know what I mean? And I know they go in for repetition. They go in for this is how my day-to-day life is. See that I'm stranded here, but I couldn't help but think, yeah, it does feel a little recycled, even though they may have just done a different take of the same shot, but still they could have done something a little bit more creative as far as the framing and shot composition goes. But other than that, I mean, this is a debut film. I just the mere fact that it premiered at Cannes, just the mere fact that it's from a YouTuber who just
Yeah.
you know took time, developed his craft, and just say, hey, this is gonna be my debut feature dread. I gotta get mad, a big actor into this. Like that shit is like inspirational. Like that's something like where like for me now I want to look back at his work. I actually want to see his short films now and see what he did prior to this film here. That shit is just amazing, right? But yeah, this is a solid film. I would say it's a film that I outright loved. I
Right.
mean, it is just your straightforward survival film. So if you like those kind of films, I imagine you'll see yourself watching this over and over. And yes, cinematography wise, it is beautiful to look at. It is gorgeous. But for me personally, it's just not one of those shows I want to see again. Not saying that I didn't enjoy it, but just like, all right, I see it, I get it. Okay, maybe next few years I might check it out again to be like, yeah, does Matt's performance still hold up now? But I think just that reason alone is reason. Just his performance alone is reason enough for you to see it. Although I do wish he could have done a little bit more with his character, and not really completely rely on him to hold the film together. But he does just such an amazing job here. He kind of let that slide. So for me, I will give this a strong 3.5 out of 5. Man. It is worth checking out. See it on whatever big screen you could get to, but don't go in expecting some kind of grand masterpiece, you know what I mean, or something incredibly visceral. You know what I mean? It's PG
Right.
13. It could have gone darker, I find, in my opinion, but that this is not what Joe was going for. You know what I mean? This is not the Revenant. This is not like your visceral kind of bloody kind of film. This kind of like, all right, this is how it really would play out. And the mere fact that they shot this, in a hot location, and Mads himself say that this was like the most difficult shoot he's ever been on. You know what I mean? Just it's just more enough for you to really be invested in the film. So yeah, give it a look. It's not the best movie in the world, but you'll enjoy it for the most part. You'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy it. Not saying you'll watch it again, but it's one that you should definitely check out if you haven't already. And last but not least, we have Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile, right? Which is a biographical crime film, basically, or more drama, if you will, which
Yeah.
centers on Ted Bundy, right?
Right. Right. Well,
Legendary,
I've
well, I
spoken
should
about
say
it.
infamous serial killer Ted Bundy.
Right. Well, I know this is Zach. What's his name?
Yeah, Zac Efron plays him.
Zach Efron, right?
And
He's
I'll
the
talk
big head.
about his performance in a bit, yeah.
Right. I didn't
Right.
get a chance.
Okay, but it's on Netflix right now. It actually premiered at the Sundance Film Festival earlier this year. Now, the thing about it is, though, I was kind of nonplussed by it. I kind of ignored when the first trailer came out, right? But apparently, and I only found this out after the fact, that there was some kind of, I didn't even want to see a big controversy, but I'll see a small controversy, if you will, about the trailer, how the film was marketed. Because looking at it now, it does have a kind of stylized Quentin Tarantino-esque kind of vibe going for the trailer. And it has to do with the approach to the story itself, right? So before I forget, it's directed by Joe Berlinger, right? Who earlier this year actually put out a docu-series on Netflix as well called Conversations with a Killer, the Ted Bundy
Right. I saw
tapes.
that.
All right, I did not see that. I wanted to see it afterwards after seeing this movie here, but I don't know, just so drained and tired yesterday I didn't get around to it. But briefly, how was that show? 'Cause I really wanted to see it, but I just didn't get around to it. How was
Yeah,
that show?
that was okay. It was one of those just kind of they romanticized the serial killer a little bit. It was that, but I thought that was alright too. It wasn't brilliant or anything like that. It's just like, oh well, you're getting to the psychology of why these people might like serial killers.
Right. But
It's
what
that
was it really? It was found footage, and they had the audio from the tapes, and I
right.
guess
So just like
interviews, right?
interviews
That's
and
what it was.
collage. Yeah, they're just a collage of actual information or journalistic work and all this kind of thing. I don't think any new research went into that per se, as far as I know.
Right. Okay. And this apparently would make it, well, the time that that docuseries came out was the anniversary of his execution. That was back in 1989, well, January 1989, right? I didn't even know that. To be honest, I don't know much about Ted Bundy. To be honest, like I know his reputation as being this like suave dude who's able to attract women and then
That's
kill
the
them in
thing.
like
Because
these really gruesome ways.
right, that's the thing. He was just like really confident, and again, the documentary really romanticizes him. Because when you watch at him, like, was he really that handsome? Well,
I
kind
know,
of,
right?
but like, it's one of those things that people, because they have Zac Efron, and Zac Efron is like not a representative of the man. So I don't know, like, if this movie does the whole unreliable narration thing of making it look like if he's much more attractive than he really is, like that
Yeah.
bullshit. No.
I would say
I ain't sure.
attractive like by 70s standards, like how leading men used to look like in 70s movies, like that kind of comparison, I guess. But you know what I mean, whatever. But yeah, but when the trailer came out, people felt that yeah, once again it was kind of romanticizing Ted Bundy. Is like, well, this is the guy who killed all these innocent women. Why you have Efron played him, and why is he so suave, and why is his show kind of hinted that he's just some cool dude who kills women on the side, which essentially is what he did, right?
Right.
And well, it's only when this tweet came out. I think it was either a comment, but the director tweeted after and said, "Agreed. This is exactly what I meant." Basically, just paraphrase it. It's like this is how the media, portrayed him as just this handsome, suave dude that even though he was in court, he was in trial for all these really, malicious things. Yeah, it had women who were fascinated by the man because of how he looked there, and how he was able to kind of, seduce his victims basically and then kill them. So it's just kind of exploring that. That's essentially how why the trailer was what it was, and why the movie itself was what it was. It wasn't like we're glorifying him and making him to be some kind of misunderstood hero. You know what I mean? Like no,
Yeah.
the man really was twisted and evil. You know what I mean? But yeah, I didn't even know about this whole controversy till after the fact. But I just went into the show. I didn't even watch a trailer. I didn't watch a trailer for it at all. But I just went
Right.
in because I was hearing about, well, it's Zac Efron playing Ted Bundy. That was the big sell for me. Zac Efron playing Ted Bundy, right? And I know I'm not the biggest Zac Efron fan, but I have heard that he has gotten better in terms of acting. Like you always kind of want to typecast him just this pretty boy, but no, the man can act. It's almost like a Brad Pitt in the sense that
Yeah.
there's more to him than just his face, than his looks. The man can act, right? So what is this about, right? So it is based off of the memoir, The Phantom Prince, which was written by Bundy's former girlfriend and was supposed to be his fiance, Elizabeth Kendall, right, who is played by Lily Collins. Last time I saw her was in another Netflix show, which I actually thought was pretty good, called To the Bone. I actually thought that was a pretty solid film. It was about this teenager who was dealing with anorexia, and she actually did lose pounds to play that character, right? But yeah, so she plays Elizabeth, who and it actually do set it up from the very beginning where she's a single mom and she's out with a friend and it's like, oh well, you don't come to a bar, we to get hit on, well, you go into a bar not just to drink but to get hit on, right? And Ted is there, he's at the jukebox, and well, sparks fly, like he instantly falls in love with her. He moves
Right.
in. At first, you're thinking, like, at first, me not knowing anything about the show, right? I thought, well, she was going to be like a victim, right? But it's like, no, he just kind of settles down. He doesn't even do anything sexual with her. It's just like, well, I'm going to be, that go-to boyfriend, basically, right? But I'm not going to try anything unless you're ready, right? And over the years, well, yeah, they become an item while he was still doing his killings on the side, right? And then eventually, the cops get to him. He's arrested. He goes to jail. He actually escapes in one scene, and then he's arrested again. And then we get to the trial, which I assume the majority of that docu series was based on, right? And because it was televised, I didn't even know it was the first of its kind to be televised, right? So yeah, I thought that so it's kind of like the O.J. Simpson. It's more like the precursor to the O.J. Simpson trial of the 90s, right? Of the mid 90s, right? So they were able to like recreate certain moments, So they actually got John Malkovich. Like I realized, like he's like Netflix go-to guy when it comes to playing side characters or whatnot. Remember last time he was in that god awful Bird Box, right?
Right, right,
Yeah, so in this case, he plays the judge. Also, didn't expect to see him in this. Your boy Jim Parsons, right from Big Bang Theory. Yeah, he plays one of the lawyers as well, right? He plays Larry Simpson. I don't know if that's a name you remember from the docuseries, but yeah, first time I've actually seen these characters or heard about them, right? But yeah, essentially, it's meant to be from the perspective of Elizabeth, okay, seeing how the trial and how the relationship being affected because well, everybody looking at this guy, looking at him the wrong way. He's a guy accused of kidnapping these girls and raping them, right, and all that kind of stuff, and murdering them and all that kind of stuff. So even when he's let out, when he's released or whatnot, people still looking at him in this, really bad way. But in true serial killer format, he will go back to his usual trope. So one of the things was him driving this VW Beetle, right? This Volkswagen, right? And
right.
in my head I tell myself, well, all right, if they know that's the vehicle that you're driving, why you'll go back in that same car for? You know what I mean? There's even a scene where he goes to that library and he's like doing some research because they do establish that he is a law student, right? He was still studying and whatnot while he was doing his murders. And in that same scene, he's looking at a couple of girls who, doing the studies and whatnot. I tell myself, all right, like I get that you're on the prowl, but why you gonna go back there after they arrest you for the same thing? Like, why you gonna do that? But once again, is the whole pathological side to a serial killer. They will always do these, there's always a pattern to what it is they do, which is something personally I can't really fully accept. Kind of like, all right, if they catch you doing this one thing, why you gonna go back and do the same thing again? I don't know.
Well,
You wouldn't want to lay low for a while. You will just go back at it. You know what I mean? But it's serial killer stuff. I shouldn't really
right. So
question it. It's weird. It's dumb,
it's
but
impulse
that's what it is.
control that.
Yeah. So in his case, it'll always be I have to go to a spot where there's always these attractive girls. So if it's not library, I'm gonna go to a bar. I'm gonna go to
Right,
or in one scene he goes he goes to another university. He goes to some sort of frat party and meets some girls, and well, it leads to two girls actually being murdered, right? And in the film itself, Jim Parsons' character actually goes into gruesome detail as to what happened. Like he literally like kills them, right? And then I didn't even know this happened. The man literally went into this dorm room and kills like a few other women, like who weren't even there, like at the party and whatnot. That he just goes in while they were sleeping and just like kills them too. And I thought that was like really messed up too. Like I didn't know all the full details about the murders that he commit, but like just hearing that like really got under my skin. Um, but really, it like I said, it tries to take it from the perspective of Elizabeth, because once again, she's hearing all this kind of stuff. She kind of doesn't want to accept because, hey, it's this
you're right.
sweet man you know, who loves me and loves my daughter and all that kind of stuff. He can't be doing all these murders, it's just because he looks good or he looks like the real killer and whatnot, you know what I mean? But
Right, right.
it's mostly from Ted's perspective because the way how Zach plays him is just like, well, why are they arresting me for? I didn't do anything, you know what I mean? And because he's into law, he's able to pull out all these like law terms and he's quoting cases and whatnot. It's just like, well, I could actually I have the right to do so because according to this case back in whatever, I have
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
right to do this, all that kind of stuff. And he
That
was
kind of
just
softness about him.
yeah, and he was just pulling it out during the trial itself, and just shocking people to the point that even some characters were just pissed off, like, dog, like you the defendant, you're like, what's going on? Like, why you play like you know more than us, you know what I mean? So he does come off suave and like he could handle his own, but at the same time, he seemed like kind of not too sure what's going to happen next, worried about what's going to go on. And they frame it in such a way where it's like, well, I don't know if I'm going to see Elizabeth again, so I'm going to do
Right.
what I can to get out or get, probably get a few years off so I can go back to Elizabeth and actually marry her. And I'll stop right here, right? So, right off the bat, Zac Efron, and I admit, boy, man pull off a stellar performance with this. And
Okay.
it's in terms of the framing of the character itself because did not romanticize him, did not glorify him, did not make him out to be the innocent character. But the way how they frame him, how Zach plays him, is just like, I'm just a guy, like, look at me. Do I look like the type of person that will kill all these women? but it's all based on what you know about him. So one thing that the film does rather creatively, although I wish it could have played it off a lot better, is that you don't even see him perform any murder. It's just near the end is one scene where he does a violent act, like a couple of
Right.
violent acts within the film, but that's it really. Like in a traditional Hollywood film, they will always kind of intercut him being, with Elizabeth and having fun and, being in love. And then they'll intercut that with him performing some kind of act of violence, like stalking a woman or killing her or whatnot. They don't do that at all.
Right.
So it's all based off of news reports and, stock footage that he used, archival footage that he used, describing the stuff that he did, news reports, all that kind of stuff. But I wish that because, like for me though, because I am, sorry, I'm not American. I wasn't born around that time, so they're like, pure knowledge of everything that Ted Bundy did. Like I don't know a majority of these things, right? But I felt that they could have played on what it is he did a little bit more, like give us more detail about it. So when we see Zach on stage, on screen, sorry, it's just like, but nah, boy, really him, boy. But then when you hear the news reports, like, wow, there's something really dark and twisted going on with him. They do it, but they don't do it enough, in my opinion. So it almost
Right.
relies on you having to know everything about Ted Bundy, like, or I
Right.
guess having to watch the docu-series to get the full context. It's just like, oh, I
Right.
didn't do anything, but you have to remember all the bad stuff they did and be like, all right, that's why I
But
should not
yeah,
trust you. You
the
know?
whole point is to undermine the retrospect aspect of it.
Exactly, yeah. And
Right.
for
Right.
some people, they would like that because, Ted's evil. Let's show him as he is, evil. But no, the film plays it as I am just this dude who just happened to have who just happened to have looks, right? So look at me, you know what I mean? I wouldn't do this, right? But Zach plays it off so well. It's not as one dimensional as I'm describing it. It is a lot of layers to his character. There are moments where he will slip up. It's not like he's overly abusive to his girlfriend and whatnot. So the film goes out of his way to try to present him as so not a monster, right? But because of his name alone and what he's synonymous with, it kind of paints him in this really dark corner. Basically, it's just like, yeah, boy, this is seriously how a serial killer would act and how he would move. You know what I mean? Even to the point, like, yeah, it's almost like split personality because a majority of what you see here is just like, yeah, they just got the wrong guy. You know what I mean? But I know enough to kind of weasel my way through certain things. But still, I already know that, yeah, the electric chair is what I'm going to be facing. You know what I mean? So I know for some people, they'll be like, no, you have to present him as what he is, a murderer, a sick, twisted mofo, right? But that's not what this show is aiming for, right? And for me, I kind of different to this decision. I didn't mind it at all, but I just wish that there was just a little bit more for me to be like, all right, now I see the the split along the middle as far as his personality goes. Not saying that you have to stop the show to show him murdering someone, but if since that's not what all they're going for, but give him a little bit more detail about the stuff that he did, like really disturb me, like really sicken me. So like when I see Zach on screen, I'll be like, all right, all right, yeah, I should be a little more afraid of this dude now. As far as everybody else goes, I mean, Lily Collins is good for the most part as Elizabeth. That I find that they should have given her a lot more to do instead of just being I'm the girlfriend and I don't understand why the media is doing all this kind of stuff. I know she kind of believes it. It's like, no, I don't trust you. You know what I mean? They could have given her a little bit more to do than just being the doted wife, or sorry, the doted girlfriend, basically, to Ted Bundy, right? The side characters, well, when they're there, they do their job. John Malkovich, he does the whole snacky Malkovich stuff you kind of come to expect. Jim Passes is Jim Passes, doing his thing. Um, but really, the sell of the show, and well, just using Arctic as a reference, it's Zac Efron. He is literally holding the show on his shoulders, right? And yeah, for the most part, I thought that he did a great job just showing, the side that the innocent quote unquote side of Ted Bundy. The reason why women were attracted to him to begin with. whether it was the
Right.
victims or the women who kind of just watch him on TV or waited for him outside the court, the courthouse, and was like admiring him and ogling at him
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff like that.
There's a kind of perennial problem with we talk about men as evil monsters and things, which is true. He is a terrible monster, but I have a lot of women who support this bullshit.
Exactly, and to me, it still
The
kind of
evil culture.
baffles me. It still kind of
Yeah.
baffles me how and why they were attracted to him. But I guess the man just had it, you know what I mean?
But
And that's where the
well,
whole
this
relationship with him and
fella
Elizabeth comes into play, though.
this fella get married in prison. We call him Charles Manson, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, there's always a sort of women out there who just enable this nonsense for some reason.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I don't know. It's just the weird thing. I don't want to say it's an American thing, but just the idea of the bad boy.
No,
You have to like
it's
the
not
bad
America.
boy.
That is a general problem. It's not like that is not a unique thing. There's very very deep psychologies going on there. So
Okay. I always felt it just started with Bonnie and Clyde. Well,
no.
Clyde actually, you know.
This is not a modern cultural thing. It's an old problem, not a new one.
Okay, I got it. Yeah. Um, because it's going for drama. Dramatic. Sorry, I wish that it could have like it is about a serial killer. Not to say that you have to be. Oh yes, and the next film I was thinking about was ironically Zodiac, right, from David Fincher,
Right.
right,
Yeah.
where you didn't see the killer, but it was about the stuff that he was doing, and
Yeah.
the detectives trying to hunt him down, and well, more particularly the press and how they were approaching, his crime spree basically. Like I thought we were going to go that level there, really seeing how people reacted to Ted Bundy and the murders he was doing. And they kind of do that, but because it really centered it more on Ted and Elizabeth, I find they don't really do that much in terms of really showing the fear, just really what was going on, just how people were scared about, the stuff that he was doing. Zodiac did that excellently, in my opinion. I felt that this film could have done that way more.
Right.
And to me, though, this is just like a little gripe for me. It does feel a little too small scale. Like, all right, this is just such a big story, but you really centered on two characters, one of which is the culprit, right? The killer himself. But is to me like how I imagine it's just such a bigger issue. Like just such as you know big scale problem that was going on, the murders and all that kind of stuff. And they really could have played that off a lot more instead of just making it so small, you know what I mean? Like I understand what you're going for. It's almost like I don't want to say it's a budget issue, you know what I mean? But it kind of does have that kind of feel like, they didn't have that much money. We couldn't go all David Fincher, we couldn't go all Zodiac with it. So you're gonna make it all small and low key, you know what I mean? And I felt that was slightly to the detriment of the story. Because the story itself is so much bigger than Ted Bundy himself. It's about
Yeah.
America itself and how people were reacting to his
The
spree.
timing
You know
of
what I mean? Yeah.
yes, the kind of timing and the rise of the serial killers are a big news thing. Because much like with the OJ thing, remember OJ, not made in America, the
Yes, the people
American
versus
side.
OJ, which, by the way, the show really reminded me of too because
Right.
of having the main character, the person accused of all these murders, be front and center and seeing how he reacted.
Right.
Like, oh my God, police trying to arrest me. I didn't do these things, right? That was what
Right.
Cuba Gooding Jr.
But
was doing when he played
right.
OJ,
The
right? In
big
that show.
the big takeaway is always be the change in the media landscape, reframing how we think about these things. The OJ merger, the OJ Simpson trial could have only existed in the 90s because of the history of how technology is and what kind of technology was capable to change how our narratives, shape, which is, the idea of the camera, right? There's this mobile camera that somebody could just take over the shoulder. You couldn't do that before, and then because that make a perspective of, remember when OJ get search and all these little technological things change the paradigm of everything now. So
Yeah. And last I want to say before I get to rating, I don't know. In my head, like, while I get where they were going for, I don't know. I just kind of wish that this could have been like a mini series, like the People versus O.J. Simpson. It really needed to be a longer film. You know what I mean?
Right.
But just episodes, right? Like hour-long episodes. Some like what was it? Mindhunter that came out a couple of years ago. Like it could have been like that. You know what I mean? Give the characters a lot, flesh out the characters a lot more instead of, well, what they do, they edit a lot. Like they do use a lot of cuts from scene to scene, from year to year, basically. Can get that they go in for a certain piece, right? The movie itself is like, I think it's like an hour and 49 minutes. But you really could have just let things breathe, play flesh out the story a lot more, flesh out the characters a lot more, especially Elizabeth. Like I really wanted to see the the dynamic between her and Ted, because you just get kind of surface level. He's a nice guy and she loves him. She wants that father figure in her daughter's life, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. But it kind of delved a lot deeper into it, especially when you learn about something that she did, which kind of aided in his arrest. That's all I'll say. But it could have developed that a lot more, especially what was going on with her internally, like her dealing with the press kind of making him out to be this monster and all that kind of stuff. Like this itself could have been like a at least 6 part series, kind of like the docu series that he brought out a few months ago. But it's a movie and it has to be in the film festivals and whatnot, right? But I don't know, like this could have been a lot longer, not extremely long, haha, but long enough for you to really get the full scope of what was going on. Like what you get here is just like surface level, but they just use Ted Bundy as the arc to kind of move the story along, and Elizabeth, who could have been the arc as well, but she's not as interesting as as Ted, kind of just get pushed to the side at times, right? And that was kind of unfortunate. So overall, did not love the show as much as I wanted to. I wish it could have been a little bit more thrillery, a little bit more dark. It does play on the melodramatic stuff a little too much, in my opinion. But for what you're going for, it is kind of an interesting take on the serial killer, the mindset of the serial killer. The family man,
Right.
At home, and when he goes out, supposedly going out to study, he's stalking women and killing them, right?
Right.
And while I do appreciate the fact that they didn't play on the whole, we have to show, not tell, you know what I mean? Sorry, they didn't play on the whole, we have to show this, and, because we have to show how evil and maniacal he is, putting that in the background and having the news reports tell it was really, I wouldn't say a stroke of genius, but just a really bold call, which for some people they would not like. I thought that it really made this film here a little bit more different, right? Although I wish they could have given us more reason to be sickened by, or at least be scared by Ted Bundy. But Zach is excellent in this too. He really does show that, yeah, there's more to him than just his looks. And yeah, really curious to see what he does next. So, but yeah, this one right here, I would say is easily his best performance at the moment. I really do want to see him. Yeah, just do more stuff, you know what I mean? But
Right.
rating wise, I'll give this a lighter, decent 3 out of 5. It was alright. Not a show I'll go back to, mainly because of the whole melodramatic approach it, but it is a really unique take on the whole serial killer story, basically. But
Right.
it's on Netflix right now. If you're curious about it, give it a look. But just I would advise you keep your expectations low. Do go and expecting Zodiac or tell us extent 7. It's not about glorifying the killer and not glorifying the kills. It's about the allure of the killer and why people were so swayed by him, even though he did all these terrible things. And I would say, yeah, just give it a look. Ignore the controversy. Check out the trailer afterwards, like I did. The trailer might kind of spoil it for you. But yeah, give it a look if you're curious. If you're not, well, you could skip it. All right. So with all that being said, Ricardo, where can we find you online?
For Sut, RMEDDY, that is at RMEDdy on Twitter. And you can just type in Ricardo Medina on Facebook, you can find me there.
All right. On Twitter, you can find me on Bear Beat Bailey. That's Bear Beat Bailey. On Instagram, just look for Bears Beats and Bailey. Facebook, just look for my name, Matthew Bailey, along with the Legally Black blog, official fan base, where you find a link to this podcast as well as the others that we've done over the past few years, including retrospective reviews.